let's just start with that for a second. This isn't some far-off sci-fi concept, right? This is happening now. We build these incredible AI systems to make things better, to make them more efficient, but somehow they end up learning our own worst habits. This quote, it really nails one of the biggest challenges businesses are wrestling with today. How do you innovate when the very code you're writing can go so wrong? So that's what we're going to dig into. We're going to look at the purpose of a company by thinking of its ethics as, well, as its operating system. Is the code that businesses have been running on for the last 50 years totally out of date? And what would a new OS for business ethics even look like? All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the glitch, these modern problems like AI bias. Then we'll look at the old code that kind of let these things happen in the first place, what we're calling the profit-only blueprint. After that, we'll explore the proposed upgrade, a new code with a wider circle of responsibility, and check out the philosopher's toolkit we could use to run it. But we'll also get real about the say-do gap before wrapping up with how we're all part of coding our future. First up, a glitch in the machine. And here's the thing, a lot of these ethical messes we see, they aren't necessarily born from bad intentions. They're more like bugs in the system, unexpected side effects of a program that's just, well, running exactly the way it was told to. I mean, just look at these examples. Amazon didn't set out to build a sexist hiring tool, but they fed it 10 years of their own hiring data from a tech industry that was mostly male. So what do you think the AI learned? It learned to penalize resumes with words like women's. Same story in the justice system. Software trained on biased arrest records started flagging Black defendants as higher risk. See, the problem isn't some evil programmer cackling in a basement. The problem is our own biased history, being copied, pasted, and then amplified by these incredibly powerful new tools. But these aren't just tech problems, you know? They're symptoms of something much deeper, which leads to the real question. How did the basic operating system of the modern company allow these bugs to not just exist, but actually flourish? To answer that, we have to pop the hood and look at the old code. This is the OS that has been running business for decades, the profit-only blueprint. And at the heart of this code is one powerful, very simple line of instruction: shareholder primacy. It's the idea that a company's one and only social responsibility is to make as much money as possible for its shareholders. Full stop. Everything else, doing good for society, protecting the environment, that's all secondary. So from this point of view, you'd only fix that biased AI if the bad press started to hurt your stock price. This idea was made famous by the economist Milton Friedman back in 1970. He basically argued that when executives spend company money on social causes, they're kind of taxing the owners, the shareholders, without their permission. And honestly, this was a radical idea that completely changed how businesses thought about themselves. And this wasn't just some theory in a textbook. It became the gospel. In the 70s, it was an economic philosophy. By the 80s, it was a business strategy. Companies started re-engineering themselves for ruthless efficiency. And all the while, the legal system was catching up, solidifying shareholder rights and making this profit-first mindset the default setting for business. Which, of course, brings us to right now. In a world that's dealing with massive challenges that don't really fit on a spreadsheet, things like AI bias or climate change, you have to ask, is this simple, old code still good enough? Or is it time for a serious upgrade? And that brings us to the proposed upgrade. Let's call it the new code. A wider circle of responsibility. It's a totally different way of thinking about what a company is even for. Okay, so you can see the contrast right here. On one side, you've got the old system, shareholder primacy, laser-focused on shareholders and financial returns. But on the other side, you have stakeholder theory. The focus is much wider. The goal isn't just profit, but shared value. And success? Well, that's measured by what they call the triple bottom line, your financial, social, and environmental impact. Doing good isn't an optional extra, it's baked right into the business model. So, who exactly are these stakeholders? Well, it's pretty much everyone you see here. Yeah, shareholders are absolutely still on the list, but they're just one piece of a bigger ecosystem that includes your employees, your customers, your suppliers, and the community you operate in. The core idea is that for a company to be healthy in the long run, you can't just serve one of these groups by sacrificing all the others. Okay, so if you're going to run a more complex operating system, you're going to need a better user manual. So how do leaders actually juggle all these different interests? Well, this is where we can crack open the philosopher's toolkit for some guidance. Let's start with a classic, Immanuel Kant. He gave us a pretty simple but powerful gut check. First, ask yourself, Could the role I'm about to follow work if everyone on the planet followed it? And second, am I treating people as human beings with their own value, or am I just using them as a tool to get something I want, like more profit? It's a great way to avoid exploiting people. And if you apply that to our AI problem, the question becomes, is this algorithm treating job applicants like people, or just data points to be optimized? Now, for a totally different perspective, let's look at the philosophy of Ubuntu from Southern Africa. The core idea is, I am because we are. It's basically the exact opposite of a me-first mentality. It says my own well-being is completely tied up with the well-being of my community. You can immediately see how this just clicks with stakeholder theory, right? A company, just like a person, can only really succeed when its whole community, its employees, its customers, succeeds too. But, just adopting a new philosophy isn't a magic wand. This new operating system, it's got its own bugs. So let's take a look at the bug report, which we can call the say-do gap. And the biggest bug has a technical name, CSR decoupling. It's a fancy term for something we've all seen. It's when a company's beautiful, glossy sustainability report has nothing to do with what's actually going on inside the company. It's talking the talk without walking the walk. It's putting on a stakeholder-friendly face for the public while internally, it's still running on that old profit-first code. And listen, this isn't just about bad PR. It hits the bottom line. A massive recent study found that when this say-do gap gets too big, it actually hurts the company's financial performance. It leads to them wasting money on inefficient investments. So here's the kicker. Being authentic isn't just a nice-to-have, it's critical. Faking it will eventually cost you. So where does all this leave us? Well, that brings us to our last section, coding our future. Because this isn't just about history. This is about a choice we are all making, right now, about the kind of world we want to build. So let's just quickly recap what we've covered. That old, simple profit-first OS is struggling to handle today's complex world, and it's creating glitches like AI bias. Stakeholder theory offers a more inclusive path forward, but it's definitely harder to navigate. We've got tools from Kant's rules to Ubuntu's community focus that can help guide us. But we also know that authenticity is everything. That gap between what you say and what you do is a system-crashing bug. And the most important part? This isn't over. This debate is live, and we're all in the middle of it. So I'll leave you with this. The source code for how our economy functions is literally being rewritten as we speak. This shift from shareholder to stakeholder, it's a fundamental change to the operating system of business. And every single one of us has a part to play in it. As a consumer deciding what to buy, as an employee deciding where to work, or as an investor deciding where to put your money. You're not just a passive user. You have the power to report bugs and suggest new features. So the question is, what role will you play in writing the next line of code?